Hey, so it's going to be another lazy video this week. I don't really have time to edit. I got another convention to go to. Tomorrow is PAX East, so we're heading on up to Boston to do some super art fighting. We got a show on Friday, and then Saturday we're just going to hang out and wander the con and play some video games and hang out with friends up there in Boston. So if you are at the show, come find us. I wish I had room numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I've been so busy trying to get ready for the show that I barely even have time to do this. So, but I wanted to talk about schooling and college and advanced degrees and what that means for us as cartoonists and illustrators. And this idea comes from an event I went to yesterday. I was invited to a career day at an elementary school to talk to some fifth graders about what I do, which was a lot of fun because kids always ask the best kind of questions, and you kind of have to justify your answer. You can't just say just because. You got to kind of think of a good explanation. So if you have a 4-year-old or if you have fifth graders in the house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that was really cool, but it got me thinking about career paths and the way you get to be where you are to do what you want to do. And if you want to be an engineer, there's schooling that you can go to, and there's advanced degrees that you can go to, that you can get. If you want to be a lawyer, there's law school. If you want to be in the medical field, there's med school. If you want to be a chef, there's culinary school. There's all these different types of schooling and degrees and things that you can go. And once you get your degree, you can take that out into the world and say, hey, I have this degree, hire me, here's my resume, all that kind of stuff. For illustrators and cartoonists, no one gives a shit where you went to school. They just care if you can draw a pretty thing and deliver it on time, or quicker than on time. No one has ever asked me where I went to college, or even if I went to college. No one gives a shit that I went to the University of Maryland at College Park and got an art studio degree. They just care if I can draw the thing. And so, from the sound of that little ranty thing, it might seem that like I'm trying to shit on schooling, which is not the case. I definitely believe in higher education, and I definitely believe that it is important. But if you're intending to go into the visual arts, I think you have to approach schooling in slightly a different way. You're not going to school to get a degree so that you can get a job. You're going to school because of the resources that school should be providing you. And depending on the college that you go to, the resources may vary. But they're from like physical resources to the people there, to the people that you'll meet, to the people that are teaching the classes. These are things that you would not necessarily have access to if you didn't go to that institution of higher learning. So, for instance, your teachers, your professors, your design, your illustration professors, your TAs, people who are teaching these classes, a lot of times they will have worked in the field that they are teaching. I had a design professor who worked for a bunch of automotive companies doing like design pitches for advertisings and things like that. These people, your professors, are great resources. You have to, go to their office hours and pick their brains, find out how they got to where they are, how they got their first gig, if they still have connections, could they reach out to their connections to see if they could set you up with like a summer internship or maybe a job after college. But these are people that you should spend the time to suck out all the, like, be like a knowledge vampire and go in and take all of their knowledge and absorb it into yourself so you can utilize that tool set in the real world when it's time for you to strike out and get your job. Think of it as like they're not necessarily a final boss, but they're an NPC that can help armor you for your final boss fight. I guess real life would be the boss battle. Your peers, the people who are in class with you, these are also valuable resources because a lot of the gigs that you will get as an illustrator or a cartoonist are still word of mouth. Somebody who knows somebody who can do the thing, or somebody who knows somebody else who can do this thing really well, or has a style that's suited for one thing or a style that's suited for another thing. Half the reason why I've gotten some of the gigs that I've gotten that have allowed me to become a full-time freelancer is because of the connections I've made through Super Art Fight. So if you can make those connections earlier in your life, do it. And it's counterintuitive because a lot of times artists like to kind of stick to themselves and they're introverted and they don't like to talk to people. And I am still kind of definitely like that. It's like meeting new people is tough for me. But you're paying for college, you're paying for the schooling. Get the most out of it. So try your best to find a peer group that's interested in the same kind of work that you are. Like if you have a cartooning group on campus, maybe you guys get together and share ideas about comics. Or maybe there's like a 3D group that gets together and makes short films and stuff like that. But your peer group is very important because these are people that can help you in your future career, get you work. You can help them get work. Maybe if you're clever enough, you guys can get together and form a studio, which is really cool. Then you can all leverage your power for ultimate domination out into the real world. Party up and form a art fire team and take on a raid. The raid is real life. Everything is destiny. Okay. The physical resources at a school are great. There is a welding studio at the University of Maryland College Park. I had access to it whenever I wanted to. I can't do that now. I would have to pay somebody to let me go into their shop and try to figure out how to weld. And even then, they would say no because no one would let some random fucking stranger go into their welding shop and weld some metal. But you can at college. A lot of colleges will have like screen printing studios. They'll have easels for you to paint, like simple shit. The computer lab might have Cintiq set up for you to play with. So if there are resources on campus, abuse the shit out of them. You might have color printers. If you have access to color printers, then you can make minis, man. You can make so many mini comics. You just go in there one night, late at night, just run off a whole bunch of minis, print them up, staple them together, and then go to Small Press Expo and hand them out to everybody. You just get a jump start on your comic career if you have access to printing. But those physical resources are great to abuse because not only does it help you expand your tool set, but it also helps you figure out what other kinds of art you might want to make. And in general, I feel like if you're a 2D artist, you should have some sort of familiarity with crafting things, either sculpting or folding or modeling. If you're a 3D artist, I feel like you should have some 2D skills, so like painting or drawing. So like, even if you're not good at everything, having access to all of that stuff will let you try all that stuff and just kind of round yourself as an artist. Skills that you pick up in one discipline can be applied to another. So just try all the stuff. If something sounds cool and you don't already do it, sign up for that course. Sign up for the welding course. Sign up for the stone sculpture course. Sign up for life drawing courses. Always sign up for the life drawing courses. You suck at anatomy. Even if you think you're good at anatomy, you still suck at anatomy. And even if you are really good at anatomy, you still fucking suck at anatomy. So always take the life drawing class. If there's extra life drawing after class and they have models set up, do that shit. You can always get better at anatomy. You can always get better at anatomy. You can always get better at anatomy. So do that shit. Even if you think you're just going to be doing environments for the rest of your life, take an anatomy course. Take life drawing. It's fun. You get to see naked people, but it also helps you learn more about structure and shape and motion and all that kind of bullshit. So figure drawing, anatomy course. Take that shit. The other type of class that I would hope art schools offer, I don't remember if they did it at College Park at the time I was going, but there should be some sort of business class. Some sort of class that will teach you how to get your business shit together, whether it's learning how to sell your paintings or your drawings, or learning how to price your stuff, or learning how to promote yourself, or learning how to get gigs, or just learning business in general. There should be some sort of art of business class. And if it's not available, take a business course. Learn something about promotion. Learn something about selling things. Learn something about producing things. You gotta that's the problem with art school. You get so focused on the drawing part that you forget this entire other half. And I wasn't smart enough or aware enough to realize that the business aspect is just as important as the execution and the crafting part. So if you have business school available, or if you have one of those courses available, take that shit, get in that shit, learn some of that shit, because it'll make your real world life a lot easier. Even if it's like a tax course, learning how to do the taxes shit. That's important. So if you're going to go to school for art, treat it like an MMO or a video game where you have to level up and do all these things to add to your skill set, to arm yourself to go out into the real world and then get that first gig. Because a degree, just having that piece of paper ain't going to do shit. You got to make those connections. You got to take that after school knowledge. You got to do all that outside stuff. And that's what college is there for us illustrators. It's access to resources. It's there for us to hoard these resources, collect them, internalize them, and then go out and exploit them once we get out. Like, if you have access to Computer Lab, you learn yourself some Maya, learn yourself some 3D Max, learn ZBrush. Definitely learn ZBrush. ZBrush is awesome. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there. But I encourage everybody to go to school, because school is cool. But also, you know, you're not going to school to learn stuff. You're going to school. You're going to school to learn how to learn. And by the time you get to college, you've kind of figured out the best way that you learn things. So you can kind of be strategic when you apply to these different classes. Oh, also, depending on what type of artist you are, choose courses that are not that thing. So if you're a pen and ink person, don't take the pen and ink courses. You love doing that. You're going to do that on your own. You're going to do that anyway, and you're going to find out resources if you want to learn how to do that better online or whatever. Take classes that you wouldn't necessarily have access to, like the welding class, like a sculpture class, like a painting class. You know, do things that you're not normally inclined to do, because that's the stuff you need to get exposed to help round yourself out as an artist and to add to your tool set and to power up so that you can take on the raid boss with your fire team. All right, for real. Now I'm going to stop. So if you're going PAX East, look for this face. Say hi, and I'll say hey back, hopefully, depending on how tired I am. But yeah, it should be fun, and I'll check you next week. Hopefully, I'll have more time to actually do a time lapse and draw a thing and not just talk at a camera. All right, bye.